Hello. All right. So here is a new Q&A video. Uh, this question was brought to me by a lovely young lady, and she asked, "What is it like? What are your senses like? And what kind of things do you feel mentally and emotionally when you encounter a person when you deal with vampirism? What kind of data do you collect when you are Psy versus Sang?" And she's talking about senses, asking about senses. Um, when I'm at work and I don't wish to take in any information, it's almost like I have a helmet on, like a motorcycle helmet. Like I am not paying attention to anything. And I feel it's really weird because there are girls at work where I will say something and they don't even hear me. And I'm thinking, hello? Hello? And they're like, "Oh, you're talking to me." And I'm like, "Yes, I am." And I don't know if this is a me thing or a them thing, that they're just lost in their own world. And I'm standing right next to them. I don't know why these people can't hear me. Partially, I know that that's a me thing, is that my voice is not strong. There were several years where I barely talked. So I also shield very, very hard, so it's very hard for me to make a connection with someone without, you know, lowering them at least a little bit. So already when I'm dealing with people at such close quarters, I already feel like I have a helmet on. There's certain things that I don't want to know about these people. I do not want to record information from these people in the ways that are so natural for me. I can be sitting down to one of my coworkers and simply just look at her, and I can see and feel the vibration octave telling me when she last ate. When people eat, their vibration gets a little higher, they get warmer, they put off BTUs, and an electrical current. And in some cases, like if I'm in a sauna, people sweat, people, excrete smells, and not just like body odor, like perspiration, but there are things that come out in perspiration. Once I was sitting in a sauna and I was like, barbecue chicken. I smell barbecue chicken. And she's like, oh my God. And, I just had barbecue chicken for lunch. And I'm just like, yeah, thanks for sharing. Uh, um, there are things like that where, as a Psy, I can be like, wow, kind of looks like you've got Crisco in your lungs. You might want to stop smoking. And they're like, man, I was just thinking about having a cigarette. And I'm like, nah, yeah. I was trying to explain from a Sang point of view to this young lady, and I didn't do very well over text message, which is why we're making this video. How a person's chemistry is more like a piano note. Certain smells translate differently on certain people. For instance, someone who's O positive, the smells that are going to cling to them are going to be more chemical. Things like dirt, for more organic side, dirt, smoke, alcohol, tobacco, heavier smells, really strong smells, spice, coffee. Really musty smells. Sometimes even like the smell of books. They have that aged smell. There are certain smells that cling to these types of blood types. There are certain things that translate from them. For me, I'm O positive, but I used to wear Addict by Dior, and every time I put it on, it was the vanilla that came out the most. I smelled like a rice pudding, or sugar cookie. It was very desserty on me, and I discovered that I really didn't like it, is that after wearing it for so long, vanilla is not what I wanted to smell like. And that's very hard for me to get away from. So I have to have like these really, really dark, nasty smelling things. And then I spray them on and they lighten up, they powder up, they can disappear, and certain smells come into the foreground for me. Vanilla, um, some green smells, fresh smells. Um, Usually I wear things that are very heavy, rose perfumes. I think Tease by Dita Von Teese is one of my favorites. Um, they had to be very, very dark things. Chanel No. 5 smells great on me. Things that are just like, what? Like, you wouldn't want it on you at all, like, smell wonderful on me, simply because of my chemistry. So, when I'm sitting across from someone and I smell French soap, freesias, and powder, I know that I'm dealing with a higher octave. I know I'm dealing with A positive, AB positive, A negative. Those are the really high registers of smell, and everything kind of dries up on them. I don't have a category yet for people who wear citrus, but I know that they're out there, and I haven't really been able to smell someone and go, that's citrus. Who are you? I don't have a category for that person yet, but I know that they're out there. Um, things that are more spicy, cocoa, chocolate, um, more masculine smells, things that are spicy and yet leathery. Um, that's more of your B positive, B negative, AB positive, but more on the B side. I mean, there are thousands of blood types out there, but as far as a piano scale goes, you can see that the higher registers are A, AB, and O at the bottom. And people that are negative have almost like a metallicness to them. Um, I mean, you can almost like, you can breathe in and you can taste this like sharp, metallic-y. It's not copper. It's almost a nickel. And it's just off. And sometimes that's negative, and sometimes it's an RH factor. Um, but I mean, that's just like the base of me honing in on a person. There are so many other things that I can pick up on. How long have you smoked? Are you on any medication? Your toxicity level. Um, things like the smell of acetone, the smell of formaldehyde, and um, like uric acid, ammonia. Those things are something I can smell. And really, like, everybody should be able to do this. My nose isn't anything special, but these are the things that my brain picks out the most, is that I'm getting recorded data from just about, I mean, honing in on a person, it can be very difficult to see anything else. Um, People have said, why don't you look at me in the eyes? It's weird that you don't. And it's like, well, I'm looking at so many other things. Um, Looking at how crepey your skin is tells me about your hydration levels and your elasticity and your collagen levels and what your diet has been like throughout your life, and the color of your skin and the color of your eyes, your teeth, the oxygen levels of your nails. This tells me so much about who you are and your stress levels, and I mean, even the bags under your eyes, how many times you've cried, the set of your mouth. All of this tells me about who you are. And that's just from a saying point of view. From a side point of view, my brain is feeding me all kinds of other information. Um, Residual memories, smells, certain energies tell me certain things about people, which I realize is so vague. Um, the only way I could really think about it is like, if you have studied tarot at all, you know that the sets have certain personalities and certain seasons, and that so you know they talk about women being like a summer or a winter. Same thing is that you have a personality that is a certain temperature. And that temperature is not only something I can mentally feel, but physically I can feel. And of course, there's always, psychoanalysts. What have you learned about people mentally and the general public? Have you taken any psych classes? Can you tell the difference between a classic and a sporty natural and a dramatic? Can you tell the difference between a someone who is melancholy and someone who is dramatic or sanguinarian? Just in personality, there's just so many ways to hone in on a person. And it's hard when you do this naturally. You get so much data. It's like, you don't need it all at once. Thank you. I do not need an extra helping of who you are because I just met you. So places like being on the highway in my car during rush hour and there's so many people around me, the energy of the cars, the people, the roadkill. All of that. You could almost consider it just too much information, especially if it's light outside. For me, I could eat something bad for breakfast and have food poisoning and not really realize it and do the entire day just being so distracted about how I feel physically myself until I've washed my face, I've combed my hair, I've brushed my teeth, I get into bed and I curl up and I go, how long have I been feeling like I want to puke? And you go right into the bathroom and you're just like, what? And it's like, wow, no wonder my hands have been cold all day. I've been fighting food poisoning. That's why so many vamps are nocturnal, is because the giant light bulb in the sky has gone out and the energy is calmer. It's not like a constant, it's like a leaf blower or a chainsaw right next to your head the whole day. I mean, I feel bad because I know that there are some of my very close friends who don't do well in situations. They have all these, I don't know what you want to call it, gifts, capabilities, and things happen and they get shocked. They stand still and they're just like, oh. And I'm like, hello? And I'm like, function, please, and they're just like, gah, get away. I'm a Gemini. Shaking camera, sorry. My brain moves a mile a minute. My brain is probably ruled by Mercury. Planet is very quick pace, very, very quicksilver. I think we're even considered like the silver-tongued people of the zodiacs. So I'm very quick to be up on situations. I'm medically trained. I'm WOFA trained. I'm the person that assesses the situation at a lightning fast and jumps in to help. So for me, it's not as traumatic, but for them, their brain literally gets stuck. And I'm like, hello? Knock, knock. Are you in there? And it can be hideously overwhelming at times, even for me. I've had to train myself. I will get a client that will come and sit down in my chair and, she's got, a lovely daughter next to her and she's, 87 years old and I can just, your dialysis is not as good as it used to be. Your liver is shutting down. You have a certain amount of iron and toxicity level. And then the assessing takes place. I touch them, they're cold. Their nails are purple. When I go into doing massage techniques, how do their muscles feel? How much oxygen is being quickly absorbed and then released? Because that happens. You notice when you rub your skin, you get like a nice pale oxygenated color. And then if you stop and you put your hand down, things will turn a different color because all of a sudden that blood is rushing down. I don't think that anybody else uses their skills to the extent that I do, but I'm in the profession where I have to, um, and I have to be trained. I'm trained to ignore certain things, like when you're bleeding, and I can tell, and I'm just like, well, that's nice, and just move on. You know, it used to be a thing where I would get hot, I'd get clammy, my eyes would dilate, my nostrils would flare, and then I would just do everything in my power to sit still and just be like, don't react, don't do it. And now I'm just like, are you okay? You know, can I get you some tea? And they're just like, oh yeah, I feel so crummy. I'm like, yeah, I can tell. I love it when people smell like food. That's great. That's the creepiest thing, where you're just like, you smell like fast food. And not like ew fast food, but like, wow, maybe I should go eat something. Um, I think the young lady that gave me this question is that she's asking because she is trying to better reciprocate and understand where people with vampirism are coming from. And it can be very, very disturbing, is that you get all this data and you really don't know what to do with it. It just creeps you out because it's more information that you're divulging about yourself, and you don't know them from, you know, sometimes you don't even know people's names. You know, I dread going into a public bathroom just because of all the DNA that slew around all over the place. It looks like a bloody Cuisinart in there. That's one of my, like, I would not want to be like stuck in a public bathroom for any length of time. I'd be like, get me out of here, please. Oh, ugh. I mean, they're gross, but it's just too much input for me. Um, I think that's really all I can say on it. I mean, it would be great if I could do a video about sitting here in front of someone and just analyzing them. But it would also have to be someone I probably don't know or don't have a whole lot of contact with. You have to make it legit. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever had an incident like this. If you're Psy or Sang, or even if this has happened to you and you're not. You know, if someone has told you something about yourself that you're like, wow, how did you know that? That's creepy. You know, if you've you know, have been in one of those situations where, like, you know, uh, a great one would be like when I heard the heartbeat of a dog that wasn't even in the room. That was creepy. I'm like, what is that noise? I'm like turning down the radio. I'm like, am I going deaf? Am I going deaf? And I'm like, oh my God. And then I'm like, oh look, it's a dog. Yeah. And if you have any good stories about how your senses have scared you, put them in the comments below. And also, if you have any opinion about something that I've missed, let me know. Have a good night.